Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. This week in the Royal Corner, I have two very special guests joining me for a live conversation about all things royal this week. I am honoured to have Shelley Windsors, or I am Shelley Windsors, as many people may know her from TikTok and her Substack. And also, I'm very honoured to have Chiq, one of the more prolific conversationalists I often find on X as well as on TikTok, talking about the royals. Ladies, welcome to the Royal Corner once again. We were in demand last time, and they've called for us again, so thank you so much. Right. Let's jump straight in it. Shirley, if you could just tell our listeners as well as our viewers where they can find you and also all of your handles.
Okay, well, I am on Substack, TikTok, IG, and my handle is the same. I am Miss Windsors on all platforms.
And also, Chiq, where can people find you so they cannot miss any of your superb commentary?
Oh, I'm on TikTok. And also on X, formerly known as Twitter, but I don't go on there quite as much.
I would like to say that today is a very unique exercise, visually and audio-wise. Why? Because I seldom see women of African descent discussing royal matters, being in the space where we decide what is important and building that room for ourselves. So I am absolutely honoured to be here and part of that room. Now, Miss Shelley Windsors, please do give us your thoughts this week about the headlines that Prince Andrew found himself in. And in addition to that, what do you think is the direction of travel for the Yorks?
Oh, wow. So I did a video that I released yesterday saying back in 2023 that they were going to start dogpiling on Andrew once the stories ran cold on Harry and Meghan. I just did not anticipate this. And I think it's just very interesting how the royal family is now, again, dogpiling, because remember, it wasn't too long ago that they were embracing Andrew, being seen with him in various ways, which is tantamount to being an endorsement. And now that they're trying to distance themselves as far as they possibly can. I am overwhelmed. I started reading the book by Miss Jubilee. And when people finish this book, I think they're going to be even more disgusted by the allegations that have been made against Andrew. And the one thing about this book is that she's no longer just some kind of figure, that she is being personalized, that you're seeing this woman that has been traumatized throughout her life and then basically conditioned, groomed, if you will, to be abused, and then seeing this person or these people allegedly, they'll say allegedly, with mass power and access and influence taking advantage. So you want to talk about haves and have-nots. That's the greatest interaction where you can take advantage of someone. I am just completely overwhelmed by all of this and everything that is coming out about the question about removing his title, and that's bringing up the conversation of Harry and Meghan. I'm like, you can't even put these two conversations in the same
false equivalent, if I may say so, Miss Windsors.
Right. I mean, how do you conflate if you're just saying they're non-working, but look at the reasoning behind. And I did a post about saying, and I know we're talking about Andrew, but it's this
no, please weave in the points. I think it's helpful for us to build a much more holistic picture.
Right. That is like, I'm like, how do you sit back and say that they're the same, whereas one is accused of being abused and the other is standing up for his wife and family being abused? They are not the same. One is a crime, and the other is being a hero. I don't understand how you try to conflate the two and try to bring these two conversations in. But I did see just recently that there is a call to have his title, I think, in Parliament. There has I just saw it. I can't get the number, but it's like so amount of signatures. So I think that this didn't.
Well, I don't know. The thing is, in order for them to remove his title, I think there's something called the letters patent, which I've been learning a little bit about recently. There needs to be an act of parliament, and that act of parliament has to be initiated by Calamity Care, which is our current steward of the country, and he is basically what I nickname him Keir Starmer, the Granny Harmer, because he takes away Granny's winter fuel allowances and people who want benefits. So he's not going to do anything. He's an establishment man, and therefore the suggestion that it's going to blow over there's nothing to see here, because I think, as I understand it, Buckingham Palace said, this affair is behind them. They're centering the institution and not the victims. They're centering their longevity and not the harm to the country as we see what's been unearthed.
Right.
So I think that, the appetite for any kind of letters patent from the king not happening,
Right.
and that certainly there won't be nothing from Keir Starmer.
Right. Like, hear me out. I understand exactly what you're saying, and I appreciate the insight from that. But I'm thinking this is the first time that we're seeing in such a way. What is it, like 48 people have signed the bill, that there hasn't been that kind of following behind it. Whereas it's just like, okay, it's been sitting in committee at one point in time, but I think this now has an energy behind it. Will it take effect? No, but I think it is important to notice the energy that's going on behind it, because it's also looking at, it's no longer, it's I think it's bigger than just the accusation, which is important. It truly is important, but it's also, I think, highlighting the differences between what is royal and having what royalty is and what they are allowed to do when you're looking at the common man and the struggles that they have every day. That's putting a glaring light on it. And I think this is going to be a bigger conversation. The palace can say we've moved on from it. They can, but the thing is, when you're talking about having to appeal to the masses, to the greater public, they're not necessarily moving on from it. So, like,
No.
if that's their statement, they are also proving that they are tone deaf, and they are doing themselves a great disservice
I think
by
that's
taking that stand.
I think that's hugely important. And I'd just like to bring in Top Chick, and for you to also share your thoughts in relation to Andrew's week in the press. And also you might want to pick up on some of the points that Miss Winters made.
Yeah, I think that I believe that the House of York is finished. If you think about it in terms of the houses, because obviously you've got the Yorks, the Cambridges, the Wessexes, you've got all these things, and I do think that particular house is finished. So when that title goes, and it's one of the oldest titles, I do believe, if not the oldest titles in that sphere. So when that goes back on the shelf, it's probably going to stay there forevermore, because nobody wants that. No one wants that kind of association. I think, to pick up on Miss Winter's point about, and your point as well, to about the momentum that this is taken on in the House of Commons, I am not sure that it won't go anywhere. And the reason that I'm saying that, because from what I heard on the news today, a lot of backbench MPs are rumbling about it. Also, you've got opposition MPs bringing it up and saying, we're not going to rest until you do something about this. So I don't think it's quite as simple as just waiting for the dust to settle, and hopefully he'll just go off back to Royal Lodge or whatever it is. I also think that, sadly, obviously, Virginia Giuffre, and I mean, she must have been such a troubled person, so full of the trauma,
such a hard time of her life. I mean,
just the life that she led,
yeah, it must have been hard,
and that
so
was
hard for her.
and that was, and that's what it was forced on her.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
life that she led must have been just so desperate for her to have finally said, I can't do this anymore. And I feel sad that she's not able to witness what is happening as a result of the release of her book. But having said that, I'm also glad that she's at peace, because as we have been made aware, that the Queen's second son went out of his way, and I could be wrong, so if I am, please correct me, but he actually went out of his way to troll this woman, so paying bots and all of that, to build up this hate campaign where she was
employing
being
spokespeople onto leading television programs to
exactly, and all of this
sorts
sort of stuff, just to diminish her. And also, and that in itself, please, and I refuse to believe that his family members were unaware of what he was doing. And if they were unaware, let's just go and give them some benefit of the doubt. They certainly weren't unaware in 2019, because it all came flooding out. And they still, as Miss Winter said, they coddled him. His mum paid the woman 20 million, sorry, how many other millions it was?
12 million pounds.
12
Okay.
million
settle the legal
pounds.
case, and I always contended that
And I
so she could have a
also,
peaceful jubilee.
but it was because apparently today on the news, I heard that Miss Giuffre signed signed some sort of as a part of the contractual agreement that they came to, that she couldn't speak about this for a year because it was so that the Jubilee could happen unencumbered. So to me, when I'm hearing things like that, you know, I think people in this country are struggling, and I'm not talking about struggling financially. Yeah, we've got the cost of living crisis, but they are struggling with the image that they have of this family and the reality that they actually, about the people they actually are. And obviously the older generation, especially, because they've been brought up with all this deference all of the time, you know, they're your elders and betters and all of that sort of thing. I think that they are struggling with the realization that these people are awful
And
Mhm.
potentially, not
and
only
they
are they
are
just awful,
predators
Top Chick,
and they
they
are,
are
you know, they are
criminal.
predators and potentially criminal.
They could be potentially criminals, and they're
Mhm.
predatory. Now, just on that point alone, I just wanted to get your thoughts, Miss Winters, on the idea of this situation potentially being the maybe not the full sword of Damocles that takes away the Achilles tendons of the firm, but they're seriously getting some damage in and around those feet from this story. I mean, do you think,
Mhm.
as many are saying, that this could be the fall of the house, or at least the complete making the ground so soggy it's very, very wobbly?
This is definitely detrimental because as we're watching it over here in America as well, but there are also a few points that are also coming out with this. So, as we said earlier, as it the allegation itself is horrific in and of itself. But let's also look at what is now being eliminated. A few things. I can't remember the name right now. I'm just trying to look it up. But there was an officer that worked for um, not King, for Prince
Prince
Andrew that
Andrew,
now
yes.
has like a title and now works in the palace, right? But he was like tasked with trying to find information on Mistress Ray. That's one.
Yeah.
Two, the questions about the trolling that went on. I can't remember, please forgive me, I'm trying to find names, but it was found that the similar PR firm that was trying to troll Mr. Frey, the similar arm that was trying to troll Harry and Meghan, like a bot farm.
There's a
So
shock.
that was revealed. That's
Mm.
two, right? So we're looking at a pattern of behavior, right? That seems to work. That's two. Three, I think it's also very telling when the palace is saying we're moving on. But isn't Queen Camilla's whole plight now about sex trafficking and victims? So
Well,
how do you
she
move
was.
on? And granted, I
Yeah,
know,
exactly. She went to several
right? So
events where she was highlighting questions around women's treatment. And one of my long-term questions was, when Jeremy Clarkson wanted to drag your daughter-in-law through the streets and
sure,
have excrement thrown on her
right,
naked, weren't you having croissants and tea with him later on that month?
exactly. But
Okay,
I'm saying that it also then shows their hypocrisy that what they do. I mean, and
absolutely.
I hate to say that it's for an act, but then if you can't do it even for your own family member, that's with Megan. They'll even just take her out of it. But then if this is the allegation, I know. Hold on, wait.
Welcome back to the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. And everyone in this room is full of glam. So we're just going to get glammed up for you there. We don't want to disappoint. Fabulous, darlings.
Hilarious.
Let's jump straight back on, lady. Right, quick question I had for you, Miss Winters. Tell me about your thoughts in and around the response of the palace to the Andrew question, because I think that is a very unpleasant magnifying glass for them to be viewed through.
Exactly. I understand that they want this to go away, and that's normally their manner. That they're able to brush things aside, but I don't think this is going to go away. If anything, I think it highlights even more problems for them. One being, let's even talk about, as I was saying earlier, about the officer that was asked to investigate Mr. Frey. That's then illuminating that they can do more than is already requested, and that I'm not sure if it's like Robach or what it is with the police office, what they're able to do. But that goes back to what Prince Harry was saying, is possible that the royal family can put their finger on the scale in their favor, and at the same time, they can also cause more challenges that are necessary. When Harry was saying, just let them do their job, and everything will come out the way that it's supposed to, as opposed to being resistant to Harry's request. I think that's one. Two, it also spotlights for Camilla, as well as if her whole point of one of her main packages is about sexual assault and trafficking. Granted, this is your brother-in-law, but then what do you say when this is the allegation that's come out? And then to try to distance yourself if this is found to be true. What do you say and what do? You can't say, well, I can't touch that. So you started this initiative, and I think it speaks more to the hypocrisy that you pick and choose when you will speak. And I think that's what is more glaring for this family, because this has been, their standard operating procedure, but that is no longer going to be that. This is a different day, and they're too exposed to sit back and say, well, I don't have anything to do with that. Let me distance myself from that. All of that, and also it shows a lot in terms of Charles, because the question is, a lot is coming out in terms of him being Andrew, what he paid for Royal Lodge. And when you're talking about a cost of living crisis, and this man how did he get his money, and also the protection that you could not afford your son? How is all of this happening?
Exactly.
So I think it's bringing a lot to light that, one, validates everything Harry was saying in his book. It's not like, well, he lied. Well, look at what's happening in front of you. It's playing out in real time. And it's also looking at how they pick and choose who they will hide, who they will protect, who they will.
I think that's huge.
And who they love. And that's going to say a lot for the palace in and of itself. So this is no longer just a small group of people that you have to appease in terms of royalists, but you're having a worldwide now look, because they were already looking worldwide, or they're even looking more so now.
I think that question, I want to throw that question over to you also, Top Chick, about the lens that you think is being looked through now that we understand more fully what has taken place in light of the books, in light of the revelations. And what's clear is that, I think, if I go back to some of the information, the FBI showed a lack of interest in pursuing this case. Our police officers in this country showed a lack of interest, even though now they're saying, oh yes, we are looking at new investigations, and they've got a history of complicity going back to the days of, there's countless things I could name, but it's not coming to me right now. But I wanted to get your take as well. How do you think this, the lens through which we're looking at the palace now in light of all this stuff, what's your thoughts around that? Complicity, international complicity, our king not doing what he should be doing, our previous queen. What's your thoughts, Top Chick?
I think it's shame. I think it's absolute shame. And I think that we are witnessing, if I may say, the fall of the House of Windsor. I think that is what we are witnessing. I think people are so much better informed because of the way that the news cycle runs. Information is provided at such speed that you don't have time to check to make sure you've got your story straight, because there's somebody somewhere that is going to come out and say, oh, excuse me, hello, excuse me, you haven't said this, you haven't said that, and this is what I've found, etc. So what they have done is they are the architects of their own demise. It's as simple as that. You're absolutely right when you say that, Camilla's new pet project, and I say pet project because they are not known for their,
they're not genuine in that,
for their genuine philanthropy. They're not known for that. I mean, not just, just a sidebar. When those people met Kate on Zoom, they said, we haven't seen you for 8 years. They're not known for that. William constantly, every year, he's got some new project of my life.
Homelessness.
That never, that never goes anywhere. So they're not known for
Peace in the Middle East.
philanthropy. They get peace in the Middle East, homelessness,
Earthshot.
Earthshot. Yeah, I think Earthshot's probably the only thing that he does with any regularity. But all of these things have come out, and that is also in conjunction with all of the stuff that we're hearing about in the way that they treat our public services, in terms of all of the money that they make from the NHS, from schools, from the seabed, and all of this kind of stuff. So it's almost like the stars have aligned, and it's cataclysmic.
It's Three-Eye
And
Atlas in work, boy.
It is, and it's not. And you cannot, you're literally seeing them. You can't keep all these plates spinning. It's just not possible. So, and the fact that this whole Andrew debacle it was a drip, drip, drip. Now all of these books, all these publications are out. It's a kaboom.
Exactly.
And I think for them, unfortunately, had they cut him off 5-6 years ago, they would have been better able to spin the story.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they would have been able to say, well, you know,
they would have had the moral high ground
they would
topic,
have.
because they would have been
They would
seen.
have.
Because don't forget, the monarch is the head of, is it the Roman
The head of the
Church?
church.
He's the head of the
England.
church.
And
He's
defender
the
of
church.
faith.
Exactly. You are a faith leader, and you could have been in that space. So sorry to cut across you, but I just wanted to get that point in there, that if they'd acted sooner, you finished the point, but I think they would have been more credible. It would have been seen as, look, you know, these people are serious about this thing. Now it's not. I mean, he's going off praying with the Pope, yeah, and he's got somebody in his household who effectively is being potentially going to be charged with misuse of public funds.
Exactly, and predator, and it's out there that he is a procurer of predatory
And they use, apparently, they also use officers of the state. We're talking diplomats, we're talking protection officers for procuring activities of a sexual nature.
You know, so it's, I mean, they have nowhere to hide.
These.
They have nowhere to hide. And I think
wash out, boy, some good
well,
just clean that thing out.
You know, they have nowhere to hide. And now everybody is scrambling. I mean, I hope have we noticed that all of a sudden there's no secret weapon. There's no, oh, this person's going to do this, and oh, this person's going to do that. Because actually, do what to do what?
They're all tarnished.
Absolutely, they are all tarnished.
Did you want to jump up on there, Miss?
Yes, please do.
Well, I was going to say, this is the thing. I did see something about a secret weapon. It's an older woman. I want to say Kent. It's not that trifling Princess Michaela Kent, not her. It's another one that basically she is without blemish or wrinkle. She's the new secret weapon that they have to tout. But I did want to say about, I'm looking.
Because the latest Duchess of Kent, she died a couple of weeks ago.
No, I know who is. I know who you're talking. There is somebody that they're making reference to as a secret weapon, and she's been out on a couple of. It's not, isn't it the one that's married to the not the Duchess of Prince, not Margaret. No, it's not Margaret. I can see she's kind of youngish and blonde, and they keep rolling her out as, you know, she's the latest archetype that the nation should be moving towards or coalescing around. Because the problem also, when you've done that, Miss Winters, don't forget that all of the Yorks have been seasoned with the brush of lacking moral fiber, the entire community, because it turns out that I think it was Eugenie or one of the daughters. She took £25,000 from Epstein for a birthday party, and this was after I saw that eye roll, Miss Winters. This was after he was a convicted individual for child sex trafficking and soliciting sexual favors with a minor. Now, tell me something. Number one, okay, what kind of party are you having and you need 25k? And apparently, I think her mother took £100,000 for another party from somebody else and didn't pay the money back. They're so licorice and gravelicious and full of avarice. But what kind of party do you need to have and it costs you 25,000 or 100,000? And secondly, Why would you take money from someone like that? Now, what are you going to say? Oh, it ended up in my bank account. And oh, by some osmosis, it ended up behind the tills of various establishments who were catering for my function. You should have given it back. You don't want to have anything to do with that. So why are you there? The entire family is the point I'm making. They are all morally repugnant. Just so that we can be
and
clear.
this is what's going to be a hard time. That's why they're going to have a hard time distancing themselves, because too much is happening. Too much is coming out. And to the point that Chiq was making, this is a new day in media. Not only do you not have time to get your story straight, you also don't have time to try to squelch information that's coming out. Because the other part of it is the newspapers need money. They need the money. They need this. They need news that sells. And no disrespect, Catherine isn't selling. Bless her heart. William isn't selling.
No one's buying anything.
They need to move on the front. No one's buying anything. And honestly, the stories of Harry and Meghan, you're basically reheating the same stories. They're not selling anymore. So they need to move newspapers, and you have to give. So it's almost like a double situation, because we already know the palace has a history of selling out family to save themselves, and the papers, they need to move articles. So that's what I mean by the dog pile. And it's just like everything is coming out, and everyone, I mean, just the stories are coming out. You don't have time to try to, harpoon them as much as you could anymore. And I can't find just an older woman. And before they were saying the secret weapon was Sophie, but it's not her. It's another lady. I have a picture and it's on my phone, but I can't get it right now. But everyone is now the secret weapon. And I'm like,
there's no secret weapon.
Is, how about the truth? That's your secret weapon. That really is.
Well, this is it. And I think, and I agree with you completely on that. I think that at some point, you have to stop. And you have to take a step back.
Don't be a Libby, a lie boss.
And just stop. The dishonesty. Just stop. Because at the end of the day, we are in a situation, as I said, we are here with the news cycle that moves every sort of like hour. Something new comes up. You can't keep abreast of that. It's not possible. And it's not just coming from one space either.
Right. But also consider, listen, and I hear what you're saying, and I agree, but we're asking them to be something they've never had to be, and that is accountable. Because remember, in the book, it was saying that he felt entitled to her body. This is also a family that said that they were ordained by God to rule and to lead. That this is the auspice in which, the umbrella in which they live, and also how people have treated them. That everything that they do pretty much is swept under the rug.
Yes. That's huge, though. That whole issue of never taking accountability, and that goes way back to the days of the Queen, because when Andrew was a trade envoy, it was raised with her the behavior that was taking place, and many staffers who tried to raise these things were told, if you don't fall in line and basically keep your mouth shut, you will be removed from this job and you'll be back working in the grunt shifts. And I think it's this whole idea of deference. And, I don't think this is going to be removed because Andrew is ejected. I think he's like he's like leprosy. You need to lance that piece of limb so that the whole rest of the body doesn't become infected. But I think they're too late for that. I think the whole body's already got sepsis, and it's starting to smell. And you're gonna have to cut some stuff.
Right. And it's one thing for him to have been in attendance to his mother's funeral. That's his mother. That's one thing. But when they were allowed to then have the walk, what was it, for Christmas?
And then they were also at Princess, was it the lady who just recently died?
Oh, Prince Michael Kent.
They were also there. Why are you
but the thing is, for me, all right, if you want to go to a funeral, go to the funeral, but don't be front and center. You just don't be front and center. I mean, I don't know what their relationship is with her. I mean, for all we know, they were like best buds ever.
But that would go to shame. That would go to shame.
That would go to shame. There you go.
When he has none, right? And I don't know if William was looking uncomfortable or what, but he was.
He didn't appear to me very uncomfortable, because he put his hand over his mouth, and what appeared to me looked like a smirk.
I don't know, but I'm just saying that it would have been a better situation had they not embraced him, because you can pull him like, get your behind back here. or
Yeah,
to block him or let him know what he can and cannot do. But the
exactly.
fact that he was allowed to be visible again, that is tantamount to endorsing his presence
Absolutely.
and being a part of the family. And
And
that is what they
do you
cannot
know what
then
also
deny.
what vexes me? I feel actual anger about this is that you've had all of these women, and I'm sure there are a lot of young men because that's not a part of the conversation. But believe you me, I do think that's also a part of the conversation. You've had all these young people have their lives impacted negatively by predatory, powerful men, and not one has been held accountable. You know, Virginia Giuffre, when you think about it, she was a modern day suffragette. She was out there campaigning for her rights to be heard. And she did everything she needed to do. And to the extent now that we're having a posthumous biography by her because things
Hmm.
are so difficult. Not one single man has been held accountable. And the only person that was the link pin to this, she has now been suddenly, her life has ended, and also Mr. Epstein, his life is ended. So it's a lovely, neat little package, and that tells me hugely how much the palace is afraid, because you have gone to such lengths and for such a long period of time to ensure that you didn't do anything. You had so many opportunities. I mean, Top Chick made reference to the interview with Emily Maitlis. There have been, that was going back since 2019. That was COVID. But you had to continue to wait and drag it out for these people. That to me shows the malice there. And I honestly don't think that there is going to be an easy way for them to recover from this. So I'm of the opinion that when I read a little earlier in my notes that William is considering, well, not considering, but there is the option of the letters patent for all non-working royals, so that could potentially
Hmm.
mean Harry and Meghan when he becomes king, if this whole thing lasts until
Hmm.
then. And then
Okay.
I understand he's not giving it to the titles to his children unless they want to have it. They're going to want the money, of course, but certainly ain't going to want to do the work for it. So to me, this is seismic. It's seismic, and it shows the king in a bad light, it shows Camilla in a bad light, and it shows everybody within that institution who supports it as complicit in a particular type of brutality towards people who are poor and people who don't have a voice.
I think that, I mean, if you just to pick up on your point on the letters patent, I just think that's just being thrown out there. That's red meat for the masses. The reality of that is, if you think about where we are in 2025, it has taken the best part of 8 years, if not longer, for us to get to this point. Charles has only been king for about 18 months. Is that right? Thereabouts?
2022.
22, 23, wasn't it?
I thought she died in 22. I thought he
She
was
died in 22, but then there wasn't
the
at the end of the
coronation was 23.
Yeah, so the coronation was
He was
20.
officially king when she died. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead.
true. So let's just say about 2-3 years he's been king, right? The reality is that he waited, excuse me, God knows how many years, because she was queen for 50 years. Now we know that he's not going to be king for 50 years, right? He's not very well, but he is not going to give up that throne lightly. No, he isn't. But he waited far too long for that. So, I mean, he could last another 10, 15 years.
I don't think so, personally.
But he could. I'm not saying that he's going to.
In theory.
But theoretically, he could last for another 15 years. He could even last for 20 years. That means he'll be in his 90s, like his mum was in her 90s. Don't forget, the Queen Mother was the Queen Mother until she was well over 100 when she died. His dad was in his 90s.
I mean,
His mum, exactly. So there is longevity in them. There is longevity in them. I mean, yes, they say that he's got cancer and stuff like that, but and I'm not please don't think I'm suggesting he hasn't, but he's not seemingly to me debilitated. He doesn't seem to be losing his hair or what have you. So to me, I'm looking at him thinking, well, you may well, but whatever it is you've got, they've got it under control. So he is not going anywhere anytime soon. William is just chomping at the bit because he's useless. There's nothing about him that we can possibly say, oh yeah, William is doing this. He needs to ensure that the masses keep his name in their mouths, because he's not in any way, shape, or form. Um, he has got no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no
He's got
gravitas
no
surrounding him.
USP. There's no unique selling point about
Exactly.
him
You know, there's no
or
gravitas
his
surrounding him.
his wife. They're just but the
Mhm.
point I wanted to I'm trying to work on is essentially, if we are at this point now and you're saying you think this is the downward spiral for the family, how do you think that's actually? I think it is a downward spiral. I don't think it's, like I said, the complete sword of Damocles, not yet, but I think
Mm-mm.
that by the end of the year, the middle of next year, they are going to have to do far more than just say, I
Right.
voluntarily won't be called Sarah Ferguson, and
But
I
Right.
I don't think,
voluntarily won't be called Prince Andrew.
yeah, but I don't think, I don't, you know, at the end of the day, people's minds are changing about them. And I don't
Right.
know that they are going to last that much longer. I'm sorry, but I don't know that they are. I don't know that, okay, William may well be king in 15 years, but if he's king for as long as his granny was king, that means George is going to have to be waiting for 50 years. A week is a long time at the moment.
Mm.
A
And
week is a long time at the moment.
sorry, go
So
on,
I
Miss
don't know
Winters.
whether
I
that,
just think
that's
the political climate is also changing, not just here, but
Exactly.
abroad. So I don't know if you want to pick up on that, Miss Winters.
No, and that's exactly right. Just looking at where everyone is right now in the world, not just in Great Britain, just looking at what temperaments are, and also looking at just directly at the cost of living and the issues that are there. It and then to see some live literally in palaces with gilded carriages, XYZ, while others suffer, and also the exposés that have been coming out about how money is spent, how money is accumulated, the bona vacantia that they still inherit more, even more if you die without a will, how they're leasing land, they're leasing water, just everything, or access to rivers, X, Y, and Z that came out. It's been eye opening, and this is just another hit to the level of privilege that is inconceivable for many, but then in this day and age, how it continues. And then this level of privilege that allowed these alleged actions to take place, and then as well as the level of privilege that then covered them. Because going back to the queen, yes, Andrew is documented as being her favorite son, but the thing is, you were queen of everyone. Yes, that's your son. I understand, there was relationships, but you were complicit.
And your son potentially was a
Charles.
predator.
no,
Right.
well, it's not like
Hide
I
your kids, hide your wife, hide everybody out here, because you don't want
And
to
not just
have
that,
no one around when you're around, because you're just
and
you
not right, and just that, and here's the thing,
nastiness.
and I'm not sure if it was when the allegation from Epstein came out, but didn't Andrew take his two daughters to see him? And I'm like, if that's the allegation, I don't care if I know you or not.
I think
I
it was
don't
the
care.
wife
I
that did
would,
it.
well, whoever. Why would you put even just the appearance of? I mean, just again, it
Yeah, but
goes
you
back
know how the
to
man stays. Are you gonna take your dearest, most valuable thing, the children that you create, to the room in a space where you know the man who breathes that type of air does them kind of things?
right.
Because
But
I'm
again,
sorry.
let's look at how they look. But we're. I'm just saying this. Look at how we've seen the Mountbatten Windsors look at family. They are transactional. All of them are transactional. I'm not saying they don't love their children. I'm not sure saying they don't love each other. But this is a firm. This is a business. This is a transaction. And we see care and concern and protection differently than they do. Because
That's why they
remember,
can be so
they'll
dismissive of
sacrifice.
people. I think that's why you can
You
be
can
so
be,
discarding and disposable. So like Miss Dufresne, disposable. Anybody
if
who
you will
comes in,
dispose your own
disposable.
child, if you will dispose your own child, if you will sacrifice your own child, if you will sacrifice your own sibling, who is a person you don't know? What are they to you?
Nothing.
They do it to each other.
Mm.
And I think that is also what's coming to light, that the blinders are coming off, that they are no longer this picture perfect family that literally stands on a balcony and waves to the subjects. Their flaws are showing. The scaffolding is coming down. The veneer is tarnishing. You're seeing exactly who they are.
Do you
And
think
that is terrifying.
do you think that the PR exercise against people like Virginia Giuffre, the consistent media cover up, because I think going back, there was an investigator, yes, Amy Robach, she was with ABC News, and
Yes,
she wanted to bring
2015.
she wanted to bring the
Yes,
story forward, and it was squashed by the palace.
right.
So I
Exactly.
do you think that the media can even be trusted to bring us the facts and to be, I mean, I personally don't listen to corporate
No,
media or legacy media. I listen to independent media because I think it's more genuine. So do you think the media, and it's, don't forget its own role in its complicity. Oh, I've got 10 minutes with the Zoom meeting, with it, with its complicity, are in any way helping to serve us as ordinary people in the public to
no,
to create that accountability?
no. No,
And
and here's the thing, I worked in media. I'm just saying this. So if we're talking about, well, British media is different because there is the relationship that's been built that we already know. But
Yeah.
also think about if the relationship with an American entity in 2015 was stopped. And this was a different time in terms of American politics. So we now have a president who is censoring information pretty much. That if you say something he doesn't like, all of a sudden those programs or things go away, and he has built or he's building a relationship all day with the family. How many times does he visit? Because he's got 2 royal visits. He will take it as a great
Oh,
honor,
by the way, that
possibly.
cost us, I think, was it 10 or 50 million pounds, that royal visit where they were eating for a couple of days? Yeah. That cost us a lot of
Okay,
money. Could have bought a lot of
but
food shelters and food banks for the afternoon.
right. And so just think if there's something as simple as he would consider it a favor to thwart any reports. So I am not necessarily convinced that we will be getting the most accurate reporting. I don't think it's going to be coming from the traditional media as we know it.
Exactly. It's going to be coming from people like yourself, myself, and Top Chiq. Top Chiq, what do you think is the role of the media in terms of them being a enabler of brutality to the poor people like us? It's basically squashing the story.
I think, unfortunately, people consider their adjacency to families like that far more important
That's why they can't believe that Harry
than
said thank you and good night.
they consider their adjacency to those kinds of people far more important than the damage that they do. And as a consequence, you have people like Virginia Giuffre, who, let's be honest, she's lost her life in her battle. How it happened is not the point. The fact that it happened is the point. And I think that the accountability that is required, again, goes far wider than the Queen's second son. It's much bigger than that.
Yes,
Because what this is showing us, for those of us who care to see and look and think critically about what's going on, is that men with power can do anything.
internationally as well. Please put that
And
in,
it's,
Top Chiq.
it's not just here.
It's
And
internationally.
the thing is, I mean, I was listening to like a snippet from the newsagents, and I think John Sopel was talking about, everybody's talking about this, but he said that the Queen's second son got that woman's national security, is that what you call it? National security
Yes.
number? He got it.
Like a
And he
social
was
security
asking
number for
social
America.
security number. And from what they were saying, I don't know, and I'm sure you can fill me in, but if you're never asked for your full number, because it's all your
No.
identity is in that number. So the fact that he was
Yes.
able to do that and then use that
No.
to seek to, bash her over the head and launch investigations into her person, to me, we should all be really worried
We
about
should be
things like that.
outraged.
We should all be worried about things like that, because actually what you're showing me is that me down here does not matter if I bring a complaint or I bring something that is really concerning to you. you have the ability not only to squash me, but you also have the ability to ruin my entire life and maybe my
Generations to
family's
come.
life. And yes, exactly.
Because them children
But
now
that's
don't have a
always been the
mother.
case,
Those
right?
children.
And
It has always been the case, but I
Yeah, but
think what
they
it
don't
is,
have a
you're
mother
right.
now, Top Chick.
No, they don't. But what I was going to say is like, you're right, Miss Winters. It has always been the case. However, it has never been in front of our eyes like this.
that's what I'm saying. Exactly. I'm just saying it's always been the case, but now we're seeing how it can play out.
Right,
We've
guys.
seen it. And I know we don't have a lot of time. Can I just say this?
Go, guess this is go on.
And this is the thing. So what I was going to say is, I know we don't have a lot of time left, but with all that we're saying now, as harmful and as hurtful as it's been, Mrs. Dufresne has had the final say. She has
Absolutely.
spoken her piece. Her words are now out there.
100%.
And believe, she may her soul be at peace with her truth now being out
100.
for everyone to know for themselves.
And she's a beacon for women to say that for when you sometimes believe that there is, you're at your last and you can't do no more, the fact that you fought is more. It's something important.
Mhm.
Top Chick, I want you to give me a 30-second synopsis of your thoughts and where we're going. Miss Winters, I'll jump to you, and then I'm going to close this, ladies, because it was a gem, but all good things must end.
Okay, so I
30
think
seconds,
that
Top Chick.
30. Okay, right. So I think that the fall of the House of Windsor is starting to gain momentum. Is it going to are they just going to drop off the face of the earth? No, they're not. It's going to take time. But this moment, this will be remembered forever. This is history in the making, and it is happening in front of our eyes. The House of York is finished. People don't respect them, and the fact that they are being shown this cataclysmic reveal about everything that they're up to me, it's like, I'm here for it. Give me the popcorn. I'm here.
Oh, Miss Winters, did you want to break out the popcorn too?
I agree. Oh, I'm and Twizzlers. But I say everything that Top Chick has said because this is another hit. I put it up there with Diana's book, Harry's book, King Charles' book, Diana's interviews, as well as the expose of Charles's conversations with Camilla. This is right up there with them that they have taken another hit. I don't see in how they respond. This is crisis management, and they're not responding well. And the final thing I want to say is my thoughts and prayers are with Miss Dufresne's children, that they will understand their mother was not only a fighter, but that they are proud of how she fought and how she tried to build a life for them that she did not.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that.
That was lovely. I think he's a hero.
No, just one
I think
second,
he
please.
should be recognised as such.
I need to say that that's a very important point to end on, because when I was looking at everything this week, I wanted to one, have the opportunity to speak with leading voices in the Royal Corners that we operate in, but also to acknowledge the strength of this woman. Because if it wasn't for her, I don't believe those other people wouldn't have come forward. If she wasn't as tenacious as she was, then we wouldn't have had the opportunity to look and say, look, she did it. She did pay a huge sacrifice, but at least she said something and she didn't go out and allow herself to effectively be to be silenced. And in my closing remarks, I would like to say the following things to the two of you. I'd like to say, one, thank you so much for joining and taking the time out of your busy schedules to share your insights with me and my listeners and my audience. And I think it's really important that as women of African descent, wherever we are in the globe, that we build the rooms where we know we can speak our own truths. And that's really, really important. And in a way, that's what Virginia Dufresne's book is. She wasn't able to get the room in life, but she got the room to speak her truth with her passing. And all I can say is, I do hope her children realize just how strong their mother was. And on that note, and to the strong ladies in the room, keep it real, sisters. And I'm going to see you on the next one. And cut! And don't forget to make a donation. I like free wings and chips and Miranda, and I'm really partial to a bit of Bitcoin.
Keep that in mind.
Okay.
Yeah! Woo, 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 woo. See you next time, people. We don't play. We came to slay. Bam! Oh.